Through John Maxwell's High Road Leadership. And today, chapter 5. And boy, does this tie into again and again and again content that we have covered before from Bob Berg, from Larry Kendall. Give more than you take. And I love the level of detail that John Maxwell goes in on this. So lots of green highlighted throughout mine. That's our model. Get your book, highlight in green. Things jump off the page. And I want to hear from you guys what jumped off the page at you. So what are you guys going to kick off today on a bright Monday morning?
I like the fact that he says that it has nothing to do with wealth. It's for a high road leader. The question is nothing to do with how much of your wealth or assets you're going to give away. The question is simpler, is easier. It's every day of your life. Are you giving more than you take? I love that. And it doesn't matter. It's not about the amount of money that you have.
Yeah, it's giving everywhere, giving aspect. In fact, we definitely can do some deep dives on all the different ways here in the chapter that we can give. And just remember, page 84, high road leaders are preoccupied with the idea of what they will give. And that's why everyone can become a giver. It's a mindset. It's not what you have. It's not what you do. It's who you're being, because it's a mindset. What else you guys have?
That made me think about the 3 kinds of generous thinking. And he mentioned open-hearted, open-minded, and open-handed, right? Just like Stacey said, that it's not always just about the money, right? So how can we leave every person we interact with, whether in a grocery store, whether it's a client, right? Whether it's a relative, whether it's a smile, saying good morning. Like, one of the things that I do, I always try to greet people with, good morning or good afternoon and happy Monday or happy Tuesday. And I have intentionally been doing it now for about 3 months. And I now see how even in emails, people are now using it. In conversations, when I answer the phone, like, there's specific people that are like, I just look forward to you answering your phone because I know you're going to greet me in a great way. And to be honest with you, some moments I'm not feeling so great. But I told myself, if I intentionally do this, then by the end of the conversation, the energy shifts, the mindset shifts. You feel good. Even for someone to say, well, thank you for that good morning, right? It makes me feel good. I didn't give them a dime, but I just made them smile, right? Or I just made them think, well, you know what? Today is a good day. So those 3 ways, we can kind of always think about how can we give generously, not always thinking that it has to be monetarily.
So do me a favor. Do you actually have page 84 in front of you, Nafritha?
I don't. So I listened to the book. I just have my notes in front of me.
All right. So then I want to go through those.
Oh, I can read what I
Open-hearted. I'm going to
had.
go through Did you
Mhm.
write down the detail on those?
I did. Open-hearted is the desire to add value to others. Open-minded is I think the best of others. And open-handed is I give freely and often to others.
Imagine how different your life is if you just implemented those 3. And there's one other thing I want to make sure I hammer home on Nafritha and what she said, because it kind of just slipped in, yet it was magically important. By doing it, by giving, it affects her more than it affects the receiver. How powerful is that? You can actually change your day, your attitude, your energy by being in a place of giving first. I know the traditional mindsets are, I got to get, I got to receive. And yet that's a path downward. This whole giving thing is the path upward. What else you guys have?
I'd like to kind of think about the idea that when you are doing your normal life, whatever that is, your normal day, we encounter people throughout the day that we may just be thinking, oh, we're just passing by. We're passing through. they're not really on our register for that day. But if you stood and thought about the person you just passed that works at the Walmart or wherever you are, and I don't go to Walmart, but just so you know, it's like talking, your focus is always, if you're in the right mindset, you are noticing people and you are saying, good morning, thank you for holding the door for me, or I'll wait, I'll let you go first. You don't know that person you have just given that to, how it's going to affect them. It's like a ripple in the water. And you could be the very first person who even acknowledged them that day. Or they could have been really having a crappy day for whatever reason. And being kind doesn't cost you a dime. A dime. So as we talk to people, I guess I think of our current environment. It's, if I give, I'm going to be taken from, so I can't do that. I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of people are really striving, and I hate to say the word desperate, but we're looking for connection. And how nice it would be to just start with, thank you, or I hope you're having a good day. Or as Nafritha says, she starts at, good morning, happy Tuesday. I mean, it's wonderful.
How do we know when people need encouragement? Because they're breathing. What if we all walked around and instead of seeing the physical form, I'm going to go a little woo-woo on you guys here for a second. Okay? What if instead of seeing the physical form, which we can make judgments about, oh, she's this way or that way, or he's this way or that way, or look at the poor downtrodden, or look at that guy, and we make judgments about anything and everything. We're judgment machines. What if instead we saw a ball of energy, just a ball of light? And every time we interacted, we exchanged energy. What if there was just an energetic exchange? We're not losing it, we're just exchanging it. We're just interacting with it. Look at Russ.
That's awesome. Don, you made me think about what I was going to say after Celeste brought that up. He says to be a river and not a reservoir, right? So that constant exchange of energy, yes, flowing, right? And not just holding it tight to ourselves. He mentioned something about that. Your hands is closed, right? How do you receive? How can you actually freely give? So yeah, being a river and not a reservoir.
What do I lose by giving positive energy? What do I lose by giving love? What do I lose by giving people a smile? What do I lose by any of those things? And the answer is I don't lose anything. In fact, what's the truth? Anybody?
You gain.
That's how that giving piece actually gets you jacked up. It's you. And by the way, just to out of the woo-woo minute to the science, first law of thermodynamics, energy can be neither created nor destroyed, only transmitted or transferred. It's an unlimited resource. That's why this morning with Celeste, we took her energy from a 2 to a 3 like that with one little exercise, because we know it's an unlimited resource that we get to tap into. And this giving is actually a way to tap into it. It's totally antithetical to standard math. If we give, we're missing something. We've handed off something, and that is so not the case. We learned that with Bob Bergen Go Givers time and time again, that this is how we 10x our life or more by actually pouring into others. Now, that being said, I want to get back into the content because there were so many great nuggets, guys. What else did you pull out of chapter 5?
I'll add something else too, Coach, where someone mentioned it's not all about money that you have to give. It asks on page 88, what are your talents and how can you use them to give to others? So can you cook? Then go provide others with great meals? Can you fix things? Then help your neighbors fixing something that breaks down in their house. You're a good organizer. You can volunteer with many things depending on what your talents are. So I love that. Again, piggyback on the point that you don't have to have money, right, to help others. Now, when you don't have that time, yes, if you have money, then you can provide great things. But in this instance, again, what are your talents to figure out and how we can provide those to others?
Yeah, Kim, I'm coming to you next. One of my fun parts about this from the chapter is the reading of Warren Buffett and how much, this giving pledge of giving away all his wealth. And yet in reading what he talked about that, he almost felt like a heel because of giving up time. Most Kim, what do you got, my dear? Other than a little one in the background who wants to join the party.
Yeah, I know he's a maniac today. This really radiated with me for a variety of reasons. I want more for you than from you. And simultaneously, I was thinking of Ryan Van Ornum and how he asked in one of our mornings, how do we apply what we're reading to our life? This particular statement radiated with me because, one, it's how I feel with my children, and two, with the type of business I'm in a lot of short sales, a lot of distressed properties, estate sales. I try to come from a place of I'm helping you to get to the next chapter of your life.
Huge takeaway. I want more for you than from you. You're doing that for every one of your clients when you're doing it right. And if you're living in that space, you do not have commission breath. If that's really your attitude or energy, your clients get that you're more focused on their needs than yours. Same thing as you're partnering with other agents. Most people see recruiting as, I want to bring you here for me so I get a bigger company. I'm going to build a company that I'm going to make more money off of for everybody building an independent brokerage here. Or maybe you're on a brand that you get to do that. Instead, make it all about them and the giving will come through. Doug, I see your mic's hot, buddy.
Yes, and at the bottom of that same page, let's just ring it on out to the last words. At the bottom of the page, it says, the amount of joy we receive from it is almost unfair. I know plenty of successful people who are unhappy, but I have never met a generous person who was unhappy. That is amazing testimony of what just making that change will do in the long run. And this is a man that's in his 70s, and been around a lot of leaders. So,
and by the way, why is he still working at this point?
Because he loves to be able to give. He doesn't need anything anymore. And his brother was the same way when he was in his 40s or late 30s. He had all he needed, but he kept working because he wanted to continue to give. So, great inspiration.
And so here's the shift in this piece. Many, many, many of us are chasing success. That's all about us. That is not high-level leadership. Folks that get to success are still dissatisfied. Here's Larry, the brother. I got everything I need, more money than my kids. There's got to be more. We're moving from success to significance through giving. And I challenge all of you to start looking through the lens of significance now, even if you're not where you want to be financially, still have the attitude of, how am I going to make it better for others? What am I going to do massively in my life to give? And watch how that chase of significance pulls you right through success. It will happen every time. Elizabeth, I see your mic hot.
Yes, I want to share. I'm really, really grateful, Don. Don bring the high point by us putting all this effort, learn and transformation, all our soul and mind become significant. We're changing the world. I can prove to you, Doc was very kind. I had a frustration with my listing. I called Doc. I say, Doc, what should I do? This listing's been with me for 3 years. I can't seem to get it sold. It was #1 house is beautiful in River Place. Why? Price already dropped to the bottom. The seller losing money. And I do open houses every weekend. I can't get it sold. And Doc was very kind. Doc said, something is blocking this energy. The energy of this house is wrong. And so Doc and Jeanette was praying for me. And yesterday I find a buyer. He's a minister. He said, I love this house. This is my dream home. I pray to God, gotta guiding me to a house that has 20-foot high ceiling in the best community and the lowest price of the neighborhood, which it happened to be my listing. So I'm grateful for Doc. I'm grateful for Jeanette. I'm grateful for Don and Ross, all my friends here. You're learning here, not just physical rain. You're learning here beyond physical rain. We are all spiritual beings, because without our spiritual, you can't even walk. You can't even do anything. So we are spiritual beings. So how can we use this power to change the world? That's the next book of John Maxwell is teaching, changing the world one by one by changing ourselves first. So anyway, my heart full of gratefulness to Doc, to Don, to Jeanette, to my coach Ross. I really grateful. Everybody's so lucky able to join this book club. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. And I want to hit on that because again, Doug heard about the need and he gave of his time through prayer. And I want to loop one thing Elizabeth brought in here that I'm optimistic I can give to you to anchor. And I'm not going to give you any particular religious philosophy. I just want you to acknowledge, and I'm optimistic you'll go there with me. Most people on this planet think that they're a physical being having a minor spiritual experience. And I want to challenge you that you're actually a spiritual being having a minor physical experience. And when you stay in that place, again, this giving gets easy. When you stay in this place, this joy gets easy. When you stay in this place, everything in life magically gets easy, even when the physical is going a little sideways. Lord knows I've had that over the last many months. It still gives you joy and humor, and all the wonderful things we're learning here apply to being in that attitude. So I saw Celeste, your mic also go hot earlier, and then Nafritha. I'm watching you guys on this. This is awesome.
Well, I just I'm so aware that we're focused on specific things. Like if I give you something, I get this back. And I love that this book is touching on believe it's on, I don't know what page it's on anymore, so it doesn't matter. But it was about giving someone opportunity. We don't realize that we're living in a very fortunate setting where we know what the opportunities are where we are. And this is just one example. But when you think about it, you're making the assumption that perhaps everybody has what we have, and they don't. And I know this because some of the people who I've mentored have come to me with, I was at this company and they promised I was going to get this, this, and this, but I never got any of it. And I was on this team and they were going to give me all this guidance and I didn't get anything from them. And the leads that I got were really like the last of what was available. You don't want to be critical of the other, but you want to say to them, you have no idea how cool our setting is. And I want to give you that as an opportunity to change your future. Now let's have a conversation. Have you thought about this? And most times they're just like, no one's ever said this to me. No one's even offered it. So I know that I've been behind the 8 ball on my own actions, but I also feel very excited to be able to change this, change someone's world.
So let's go back to Bob Berg earlier this year a minute on this giving piece, because there was a nugget in there that we haven't talked about for a while that I want to make sure we anchor in this, because Celeste is absolutely right. this room, this group, this culture that we're building is highly unique in all spaces, including the real estate space. And yet, Celeste, your mic's still hot. Get that mic hot a minute, because I want to do it interactive with you. For every generous giver, there also has to be
a generous receiver.
And so every one of you has a leadership team of generous givers. I see Chris on here. I know he falls in that category as well, of people that are leading in this organization and saying, guys, I'm here. I want to help. I want to give chapter 5 of all of these things: opportunity, time, knowledge, experience. Are you guys leaning into that gift being available and taking advantage and saying, hey, Celeste, let's connect. I know you got something. I heard you can help me. Hey, Stacy Carolia, one of our great leaders out of Philadelphia here. And a minimum, she can teach you how to cut somebody, right, Philly? Yet great people giving great things and are willing to. So guys, be receivers, be willing to ask. I had a great conversation with somebody about 2 months ago, or excuse me, they've been here 2 months. I had a conversation with them last week, and they were complaining about how they get no support, no help, and they feel alone and isolated. And of course, my favorite question in that moment is, well, did you call your coach? Which of course they hadn't. And again, reinstituted the policy of I'm here. Don's here. Everybody in this room is here. Lean in and start connecting. So guys, please be good receivers as well as incredible givers. What else you guys have?
So the word,
I see. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
that word came to mind. I don't know who invented it, if it was you or someone else, but I heard you say it first, automatically, right? That transformation that takes place, in those magical moments when you may not even think that the little thing that you're giving is so huge, but it's a magical shift or a magical transference of energy. So I just thought about that word, automatically. And then, I don't know what page it was, because like I said, I'm just listening with the book, but I wrote down, every person in life will unknowingly leave something and take something away. He says every person is a plus or a minus in the lives of others, and that high road leaders are determined, like you mentioned earlier, to be a plus. That stood out to me. How do I make sure that I am being the plus in every experience, in every encounter, and not that minus?
And they, in that, he said determined. What kind of determination do I want from you guys?
Pig-headed discipline and determination.
Thank you, my dear. Absolutely. On giving. Imagine that. And then I also learned from an old mentor, friend, leader of mine, that if you use something often enough yourself, you can take credit for it. So automatically, I haven't used it enough yet. So I'm still going to give credit to Don. But a year or so from now, I'll claim it as my own. Right, Don?
Absolutely.
Well, please give me permission to use it. I'm gonna start adding that to my vocabulary now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It
It's a
ties
great
over
word.
who you, yet it's real. Don, what else you got? I saw your mic go hot.
No, it's a great word. I'm glad somebody's picked up on automagically, because that's how life can happen, right? Automagically. No, this was a massive chapter for me, and of course I related back to how it fit in with Bob Berg's work, how it fits in with Larry Kendall's work. I was just seeing the stream of life that goes through all these books that say one thing: we need to come from a place of giving and not from a place of taking. We need to be generous of heart and not looking for, what's in it for me. And I love the phrase commission breath, because I think, unfortunately, that's the way that the real estate industry generally works. And I love the fact that that's not us. that we are coming from a generous spirit and giving and giving and giving.
Celeste, I see you're hot. Let's go.
I'm laughing because I love these words where we're combining two things to make a new concept. And of course, I added into the comments that I was reminded by my boyfriend that I had asked, but I didn't ask for him to help one of my clients with their clear out. And I couldn't make it. So that meant he was there with my brother and my sister-in-law. And he reminded me that I had voluntold him to be there. And I thought, oh, I feel so terrible. But then I think about it, and what I am amazed is he showed up. He did the right thing. And I know that sometimes we're being, given direction, and sometimes we just don't want to do it, but we do it anyways. How wonderful that is, that you get out of your own way and just do, just be, just give. Because you really don't know how it's going to come back to you.
Almost every time that you are in a place of not willing to give, let's just go back to your boyfriend going to this. He didn't desire to go and do this help. If he wouldn't have, that would have been a short run thinking. Most of the time when you are non-generous, you are being a short-term thinker. You're thinking small world. You're thinking limited beliefs. Gosh, I need this for me now.
Yeah.
And he went because he was playing the long game. He's got bigger visions. He's got bigger desires than just that moment. So remember, man, the long game, playing the long game is where all the auto magic happens. The short game is where you keep cutting yourself down. We're here playing the long game. Everything in Hydro leadership is about the long game. It's about giving first. It's about always giving more. It's about giving without expectation in this chapter 5. So